broadcasting from the Community Service Radio Studio at the Pop Music Academy in Sellersburg, Indiana. Welcome to Dangerous Subversive Radio. Prepare to open your mind and question everything.
Hey there, Tim.
Hey, Jackie. Greetings from Colorado.
Yes, you are there, aren't you?
Broadcasting from Grand Junction on the edge of the Colorado Plateau.
Oh, that's really nice. So, here we are, ladies and gentlemen, with another Dangerous Subversive Radio show hosted by Tim Rotalick. And, Tim, how you doing, man?
I'm doing well, Got here a couple of weeks ago. Started my new job a few days ago.
Wow, cool.
And yes, and starting to, a lot of things are starting to come back to me.
Very good.
For anyone who didn't know, I spent several years working in an emergency room, and now I am working in an intensive care unit. Mm-hmm. And it turns out there's a lot of overlap. You do a lot of the same things. In the emergency room, you have your patients for a few hours. In the ICU, you have them for a few days.
Right.
So, yeah, so it's going well. And I've got the next 3 days off.
Wow. Isn't that something?
Yeah.
Wow. That's really nice.
Completely free, no plans. The only thing is, after 24 years, I really don't know anybody in this town outside of my mother and a couple of her friends. So,
well, hey, so there are a few people there.
Yeah.
Well, that's exciting in itself. Last time I went back to Colorado, there was nada.
Well, yeah. Well, that was your honeymoon, wasn't it?
It was.
Last time you were back here?
Yes. Yeah. Yes. It was a 2 years ago next month on the 17th, I mean. There. Mm-hmm. Yeah. So, Tim, what do we got for today? What's on the agenda?
Well, putting together, you may not think putting together, well, anyone out there, you know how it is, but anyone out there might think that putting together 45 minutes of coherent material is just a piece of cake. It's not. It takes hours to put this stuff together.
And yet you're so good at it.
Well, I just stumbled upon a gold mine. One day, a few weeks ago, I spotted my handy-dandy copy of the United States Constitution.
Wow.
And suddenly, it struck me. There is several radio shows right there.
Well, that's very nice. Well, so what do you plan on going through today?
Well, we're going to see how far we get. We're going to start with the preamble.
Okay, that sounds really good.
And like I said, there's plenty of stuff just in the preamble of the Constitution. Mm-hmm. But, sadly, there are people out there, believe it or not, who do not even know what the Constitution is.
And
that's
I
how
hear
far,
you. Yeah.
That's how far we have fallen with our educational system.
You're right.
There used to be a class, I had it when I was in junior high, called civics, where you learned about your government and you learned about your country. They no longer have civics. Somewhere along the line, it was replaced with quote-unquote social studies.
Right.
And you can tell where the social in social studies kind of goes, where it kind of leads. I've met a few people who thought that the Constitution is every law that's ever been written. And there is something that is like that. It's called the Federal Register. Mm-hmm. And that's every time Congress passes a law, of course, it gets recorded in the Federal Register. Mm-hmm. But the United States Constitution is, well, the Constitution for any country is a recipe for that country's existence. Mm-hmm. It is what constitutes that country. Mm-hmm. And I've got my copy here. Imagine 3 full-size pages, slightly bigger than 8.5 and 11, written on both sides in, let's say, 12-point font.
Okay.
That's all. So 6 pages. You can easily fit the Constitution on 6 printed pages.
Well, funny thing, Tim, I just happen to have mine here too. And
Yeah.
so as you're reading through, I'll just kind of throw it up on our screen, okay? And so you just run with this thing, run your awesome format, and I'll just kind of be in the little background here and make my silly comments whenever needed.
Okay.
Because I can make some silly comments.
Yeah. Well, as I said, it is the recipe for our country.
Yes.
Now, I have seen videos of people discussing the Constitution, and one of the participants in that video, someone made a comment about it, and her comment back to him was, "You are not qualified to interpret the Constitution." Let me tell you, any law that requires interpretation is a bad law.
Right.
And it needs to be rewritten. So, let me ask you this, Jackie, and plenty of people have interpreted the Constitution. It goes something like this. Could you tell me, Jackie Smith, your feelings about illegal aliens?
Well, to me, an illegal alien is somebody who broke the law by crossing the border without being invited.
Okay. Well, the way I interpret your statement is that you're a racist and a white supremacist, and you advocate the obliteration of anybody who doesn't look like you. And see, I just interpreted your statement.
Right.
So plenty of people have interpreted the Constitution. I'm going to tell you right now, it requires no interpretation.
Right.
It says what it says. Now, people have interpreted it in ways that just are out, beyond the pale. Those people have an agenda.
Right.
And they have a position of power.
Mm-hmm.
So they are interpreting it to exert their political power, their political influence over other people.
Right.
The Constitution, well, I was going to say it's written in plain English. It's actually written in 18th century English.
Right.
Which makes it, at times, a little hard.
A little challenging, just a little more detailed.
Yeah. And I'm going to be perfectly honest. As we go through this, there are going to be a few dry sections.
Right.
Particularly, these section 5. Well, we'll get to it when we come to it. But one part of Article 1, the part dealing with the Electoral College,
right,
that gets a little convoluted. We'll just get through it.
Well, I say maybe we should start with the preamble. What do you say, Tim?
I say that's a great idea.
Well, good.
Okay, so
I'm going to go ahead and pull it up on the screen for you.
Okay, so first I'm going to read the whole thing.
Okay,
and
good idea.
And then we'll go through it. Okay? Preamble. We, the people of the United States, in order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity, do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America. Okay? So, we the people. Boom.
Right.
There's our first point.
Yes.
This does not say we the government. It does not say we the military. It does not say we the oligarchs. Grant.
It says we the people.
We the people. The government does not allow you to live here.
Right.
It's we the people. We are the bosses.
Right.
So when Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez says, "Until you come up with something better, I'm the boss," absolutely wrong. She is not the boss. She never will be the boss. We, the people, we own this country. You, me, your neighbor, your friends. This is our country.
Right.
Some people think that, I honestly believe some people think the definition of freedom is everything the government allows you to do.
allows you to do. Oh my gosh.
Yes. So, and a lot of people just cannot wrap their heads around the fact that we do not live under the government. The government works under us.
It kind of tells you something about what's happening today, don't you think?
Yeah.
Since they don't know that, then they're not living in freedom.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay, let's move on.
All right.
Of the United States. Now, Jackie, when you were in school, do you remember diagramming sentences?
Diagramming sentences. I remember. Oh, let's see. Yes, as a matter of fact.
Yeah. Yeah, and so if you take the phrase, the United States of America, and diagram it,
Right.
the subject of that phrase is states.
Say that one more time, Tim, because we had a little audio issue there.
America.
Okay.
Okay. If you diagram the phrase, the United States of America, the subject of that phrase is not America, it is states.
Right.
Yes. So that's the way the framers of the Constitution, they intended for the states to have the most authority.
Right.
Over themselves.
Right.
And then the federal government is an accessory to that.
Mm-hmm.
It is an augmentation of that government.
Okay.
Because we do want to be united states, and so there are plenty of times when the states have to speak with one voice.
Right.
Mainly when they're dealing with other countries, because this is one country made up of states.
Right.
So, okay, let's move on. In order to form a more perfect union, establish justice, that's all pretty cut and dried, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, very important function of a federal government, promote the general welfare. Aha! There it is. There's our welfare state. Right in the Constitution. Promote the general welfare.
Right.
Now, notice that it says promote the general welfare. It does not say provide the individual welfare.
Right.
When you think of a promoter, when I just say the word promoter, who do you think of? Think crazy hair. Think crazy hair.
Oh yeah. The boxing promoter King. Yeah. Don King.
Don King.
Yeah.
Okay, so he promoted fighters.
Right.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if he promoted Mike Tyson. I don't know if he promoted Mike Tyson, but let's just say he did.
I think he did, right?
Now, so by promoting Mike Tyson, did he get him an apartment and pay for his rent? Did he get him a car and make the car payments? Did he go to the grocery store and buy food and deliver it to Mike Tyson's apartment?
No.
No, that is not promoting. Promoting something, promoting a cause, promoting the general welfare means you facilitate people.
Right.
In providing that for themselves.
Right.
So no, the preamble of the United States does not contain our welfare state in it.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, let's move on and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. Do ordain and establish this Constitution for the United States of America.
So this part needs a little bit of explanation.
Mm-hmm. Yep.
And secure the blessings of liberty.
Well, what is liberty?
Right.
Really?
Well,
I mean, people think that it's freedom. Well, let me tell you, the anarchist plundering of the Vikings plundering a village, they had complete freedom
and liberty.
Well, no, actually, that's not liberty.
So
liberty.
They were not at liberty to do whatever they pleased to do?
No, they were free to do whatever they pleased to do.
I need help with this. Yes.
The definition of liberty is freedom tempered by morality.
Ooh, that's that morality word. Whose morality, though, Tim?
Well, there are two levels of morality. There's public morality,
Right.
which is, the generally accepted conventions. Let's say I am free to commit murder, but I'm not going to.
Okay.
Because murder is wrong.
Right.
Okay? So the general conventions in society that we generally agree on what is acceptable and what is not acceptable.
Mm-hmm.
And we agree amongst ourselves to avoid the unacceptable, exercise the acceptable.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Okay? So they were out to secure the blessings of liberty for themselves and their posterity. Go ahead.
What does the blessings of liberty mean to you?
Well, I've never really felt I had to interpret that.
Okay.
We have more liberty than probably 90% of the world.
Yeah, even still today, really.
There are a lot of countries that used to be free that sadly are not anymore.
So I guess that alone you could call a blessing?
Well, the fact that we still have it is certainly a blessing on us. A lot of countries that people off the top of their heads would call free countries.
Mm-hmm.
Great Britain, for example. You can now get arrested for a Facebook post.
Right.
In Britain. They no longer have freedom of speech.
Wow.
What amazes me, the Brits have lost so much of their freedom, and yet they still elect their government.
Right.
So I don't know how that happens.
I'm wondering how that happens.
How they could elect people to take away their freedom.
Could it be that they went through what we're going through right now in our schools with our youth and how they're being indoctrinated?
That is certainly a possibility. Socialists, Marxists, they've always known that the way to take over a country is to take over its educational system.
Yes.
Now, I am puzzled as to how this happened. How did so many leftists take over our college system?
Mm-hmm.
How did the balance first get tipped in their favor? There is one college, Hillsdale College in Michigan, where they preserve the conservatism of their school.
Okay.
A liberal, a leftist, a Marxist is not going to get a job at Hillsdale College. They simply won't hire them.
Right.
But in almost every other university in America, every time they hired a leftist, and a lot of them are just out and out Marxists, every time they hired one of them, they tipped the balance a little bit.
Yeah.
I just don't know how nobody has ever stood up to them.
Well, what about Prager University? Prager University's also they're suing YouTube right now. Mm-hmm. They're in litigation. They're suing them because of the freedoms that have been taken away from them because of when you call something a free forum for people to talk to each other and to communicate with each other, it's illegal to block certain people out. You need to let the good be there with the bad. Okay.
And yet Facebook has done exactly that.
Facebook and YouTube, and they're in court, and they may win this case. PragerU has got some amazing lawyers.
I certainly hope they do.
I do too, because if they don't, guess what? We're going to be in the same shoes as England.
That's true.
Yes.
Yeah. And of course, Prager University is not a physical place. It is a virtual university.
It is a virtual online university, yes.
Yeah. So, okay. Shall we move on?
Let's move on.
Article 1. Now, in case people out there don't know the general construction of the Constitution, there are there are 7 articles. The first 3 articles deal with just the 3 branches of government.
Mm-hmm.
So if you've ever wondered, why do we have a House of Representatives? Why do we have a Senate?
Mm-hmm.
Here it is, right here.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, Article 1, Section 1. All legislative power herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States, which shall consist of a Senate and House of Representatives. There you go. Now,
okay.
40, 50 years ago, you would have learned this in civics class.
Mm-hmm.
Now you got to learn it here.
Okay. Okay.
And notice it says legislative powers herein granted shall be vested in a Congress of the United States. What does that mean? That means, well, legislative powers, law-making powers.
Okay. Okay.
So this says that the only people who make in this country are the Congress, the House of Representatives, and the Senate.
So say that one more
that
time. I think we had a little glitch in our audio again. Go ahead and say that one sentence again.
Okay. It says the only people in this country who are allowed to make laws are the House of Representatives and the Senate. That's it.
Okay.
Okay.
Cool.
Who's not included in there in the legislative powers?
Well,
I'll tell you one person who's not included in there: the president.
That's okay.
The president is not allowed to make laws.
As I remember reading in a particular book that you wrote, he's like a custodian of the government.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. If the United States were a high school, who would the president be?
Right.
And of course, the default answer, the answer you get off the top of people's heads is, well, he's the principal. No,
he's not.
He's not the principal. He is more analogous to the janitor.
Right.
The guy who keeps the lights on, who keeps the heats running, who makes sure the locks on the doors work, who makes sure the floors are clean, and then he gets out of the way.
Yes.
To let the real business of that school go on.
Yes. That sounds
so
cool.
These days, certain presidents will say, okay, I won't make a law, I'll just pass an executive order, which says, you have to do such and such. Well, doesn't that sound an awful lot like a law?
It does.
It does to me.
It does. So he has too much power. He's not supposed to be able to do that.
Yes. Penn Jillette said, and I love this, he said, the president should have so little power that it doesn't matter who he is, instead of having so much power that it doesn't even matter who he is. I love that.
Yes.
Who else is not included in this Article 1, Section 1?
Well, let's go ahead and go there. Okay, so Article 1, Section 1. Yes.
What is not included in there? I think 80,000 pages.
Right.
Yes. Bureaucrats writing regulations.
And yet they're doing it.
Yes, and we are compelled to comply with this 80,000 pages of regulations, even though they were not established by the Congress. The only people allowed, they carry the same weight as law, but they were never voted on. The people who write them don't answer to anyone. So you can see how far we've strayed from the Constitution, and we're one sentence into it.
Right.
Okay.
That's bad. That's really bad.
Exactly. So, when you think of the word unconstitutional, what do you think?
Something that's not in line with our Constitution.
Exactly.
Yeah,
exactly.
Our constitutional republic.
Exactly. So when you think of regulations, by definition, those regulations are unconstitutional. They contradict the Constitution.
And yet there they are, in place.
80,000 pages of them.
That's kind of scary.
Yeah.
We're buried in it. Okay.
Section 2.
Okay.
The House of Representatives shall be composed of members chosen every second year by the people of the several states. And the electors in each state shall have the qualifications requisites for electors of the most numerous branch of the state legislature. So already we're hearing about electors.
Right.
And this tells you that the Electoral College is absolutely integral to our Constitution.
Right. Right.
Our republic.
Okay.
There's a guy, his name is Robert Reich.
Reich. That's how Rush says it, Robert. Reich.
Yes, and he was a bigwig in the Obama administration.
Mm-hmm.
And he is on a one-man campaign to abolish the Electoral College.
Okay.
And he says we must never, we must make sure that our democracy is never damaged, by someone winning the presidency, by us putting in a president who didn't win the democratic vote.
Right.
And you keep hearing this democracy, democracy, democracy. And as a kid, we learned that this is a democracy.
Well, we did learn that this was a democracy when it's really a constitutional republic.
Constitutional republic, yes. And, the people who wrote this document, they scrutinized every system of government that had been used in the last 3,000 years. These guys did not fall off the turnip cart yesterday.
That's right.
Okay, they were very smart men. They did a lot of research. They could have chosen any form of government they wanted to for us. They did not choose democracy, and there is a reason for that.
Right.
Democracy is mob rule.
Completely. Yeah.
Democracy is two wolves and a sheep deciding what's for dinner. I can think of no more shining example of democracy than a lynch mob.
Right.
Just because you've got 20 people here, 16 of them have very definite ideas about how they'd like to string the other 4 up from a tree until they're dead.
Right.
But the 4 people have equally strong opinions that they'd like to live. But the important thing is this is a democracy. And the will of the majority prevails. And that's a good thing.
The majority could all fit in, say, Los Angeles and New York City.
I'm just talking about the lynch mob.
That's a giant,
the
giant lynch mob, you know what I'm saying?
But in this particular lynch mob, the will of the majority prevails, and they hang the 4 people from a tree, and now they're dead.
Yep.
And you mention this to the average person who thinks this is a democracy, and they say, well, of course that's horrible. And we would pass laws to keep that from happening.
Oops.
We would pass laws to protect those 4 people.
Oops.
Guess what? The second you pass laws to protect the minority,
you become a republic.
Exactly. You just change your democracy into a republic.
Yeah.
And so, and guess what? You tell that to these people, they're still not going to get it.
Right.
They're still going to be screaming bloody murder because we're supposed to be a democracy. So anyhow, enough about the Electoral College. We'll get to that a little later on.
Okay.
Okay. Next paragraph in Section 2. So we're still on Article 1, Section 2, Paragraph 2.
Okay.
No person shall be a representative who shall not have attained to the age of 25 years and been 7 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of that state which he shall be chosen.
Okay.
Basically, 25 years of age, 7 years a citizen, and you must live in the state you're going to represent.
Okay.
Representatives and direct taxes shall be apportioned among the several states which may be included within this union, according to their respective numbers, which, here's next hot button here, which shall be determined by adding to the number of free persons, including those bound to service for a term of years, that refers to indentured servants, okay, and excluding Indians not taxed, because there's no taxation without representation, right?
Okay.
Okay, and 3/5 of all other persons. Aha! Did you catch that?
I think so.
These racist framers, these old white racist men, are saying that black people aren't complete people. Black people are only 3/5. A black person is only 3/5 of a person. So there's your racism written into the Constitution right there.
We just scrap it.
Right? Wrong. Okay, let's read that again. Including, let's see, and excluding Indians not taxed, 3/5 of all other persons. In the very same sentence, it calls them persons.
Yes, it does.
This does not say that black people are not persons. It simply describes a formula by which representatives are going to be apportioned.
Right.
Okay?
Okay.
Now, if I walk into a room full of people and I say, okay, we've got enough boxed lunches here for 3/5 of you. Am I saying that the other people aren't persons? No. I'm simply describing a ratio, describing a formula.
Right.
And most people don't even understand why this is called the 3/5 compromise. Why do we even have to say 3/5 of all of the people? Well, the South wanted everybody to be counted. They wanted the slaves to be counted. And doesn't that seem a little contradictory, that the people who are holding them in slavery, oh yeah, but we want you to be counted. And the reason they wanted them to be counted was that would give the South a voting majority in Congress. A permanent, at that time, permanent majority in Congress, with which they could have kept slavery going in perpetuity.
But one thing I've noted when I was reading letters in the Library of Congress is that slavery was already abolished in the South before the war even began. And Northerners still had their slaves. And they would gain their freedom if they wanted to by joining the service.
Yeah.
See anything funny going on there?
Yeah, but that does seem kind of wonky, doesn't it?
It does, and you can read those letters yourselves, ladies and gentlemen. You can read them yourselves. They are available.
Now, the North, on the other hand, wanted none of the slaves counted, because that would have given them a voting majority in Congress, with which they could have ended slavery then.
Yes.
Okay? But if there had been no compromise, there would have been no Constitution.
Okay.
Okay?
Sure.
So, hopefully, we can put that to rest.
Yes.
I mean, I'm sure we won't, but at least we've illustrated what's really going on there. Okay. I got to find my place in here again. Okay, 3/5 of all other persons. Okay. The actual enumeration shall be made within 3 years after the first meeting of the Congress of the United States and within every subsequent term of 10 years. What? Do you recognize that?
Yeah.
This is where our census comes from. Our once every 10 years census. And it is the purpose of the census. It's gained a lot of other purposes over the years, but the original purpose of the census was to determine how many representatives each state was going to have.
Okay.
The number of representatives shall not exceed one for every 30,000, but each state shall have at least one representative.
Right.
And until such enumeration shall be made. Okay, so you got to understand, the Constitution was brand new. They had that 3 years to do a census.
Right.
So they said, until such enumeration shall be made, the state of New Hampshire shall be entitled to choose 3, Massachusetts 8, Rhode Island and Providence Plantation 1, Connecticut 5, New York 6, New Jersey 4, Pennsylvania 8, Delaware 1, Maryland 6, Virginia 10, North Carolina 5, South Carolina 5, and Georgia 3. So there is the first House of Representatives.
Right.
There.
Wow,
Yeah.
look at that.
Okay, when vacancies happen in the representation of any state, the executive authority thereof shall issue writ of election to fill such vacancies. So the state, if there's a vacancy, if a senator dies or is incapacitated,
Mm-hmm.
the state will call a new election.
Okay.
Okay,
So
let's
far, so
move
good.
on. Yeah, we're still in Article 1, Section 2. The House of Representatives shall choose their Speaker and other officers and shall have the sole power of impeachment.
Uh-huh. Now, sole power of impeachment goes to who, Tim?
The House of Representatives. Now, that doesn't mean the House of Representatives can impeach someone.
Right.
It simply means what is impeachment anyway? Impeachment is simply charging a member of the government with a high crime or misdemeanor,
Yes.
and then trying them and removing them from office.
Right. Okay.
And all kinds of people want to impeach Donald Trump, as they think if they get rid of. Did I cut out?
No, you didn't. What I was thinking
Okay.
is they want to impeach Donald Trump, and I keep saying every time I hear that from people, I say, for what?
Yeah. Well, here's the thing. They're not going to concern themselves with what. They just want to impeach him so that they can have Hillary again.
That'll never happen.
You know what? A lot of people seem to think that that's what would happen, is get rid of Trump and Hillary will take her rightful place as president.
Isn't that crazy?
You take Donald Trump out of office, you get Mike Pence.
Mm-hmm.
Which, might not be such a bad thing.
Mm-hmm.
But he's no Donald Trump.
No, he's not.
Yeah. Okay, so the House of Representatives brings up the charges
Right.
in impeachment. They initiate the proceedings.
Okay.
And we'll learn the rest of that a little later on.
Okay.
Okay. We're up to Section 3.
Yes.
The Senate of the United States shall be composed of 2 senators from each state, chosen by the legislature thereof. Did you catch that? Chosen by the legislature.
Wow.
That's not, yeah. And the reason why they do that is right now, the people of Colorado have representation in the Senate.
Okay.
The state of Colorado has no representation at all. So that was the intent of that, was for each state to have representation in Congress.
Okay.
So that the interests of that state would be looked after.
Okay.
Okay? And of course, we don't do that anymore. One of the amendments, and to be perfectly honest, I don't remember which amendment, but we will come to it. So they dissolve the power of the legislatures to choose senators and just put them up to a popular vote by the people. One step closer to democracy.
Oh, that's bad. Bad.
Okay. Chosen by the legislature for 6 years, and each senator shall have 1 vote.
Okay.
Immediately after, they shall be assembled in consequences of the first election. They shall be divided as equally as may be into 3 classes. The seats of the senators of the first class shall be vacated at the expirations of the second year. So those first senators, they only got to serve a third of their 6-year term.
Okay.
Yeah. Of the second class at the expiration of the 4th year, and the third at the expiration of the 6th year, so that 1/3 may be chosen every second year.
Okay.
And if
Okay.
vacancies happen by resignation or otherwise during the recess of the legislature of any state, the executive thereof may make temporary appointments until the next meeting of the legislature. Now you notice that they would issue a writ of election for representatives.
Right.
Here they simply make appointments because at that time they were appointed by the state.
Okay.
Okay. So if the Congress is out of session and a vacancy shows up among one of the senators, then the executive of the state, basically the governor, shall appoint a new senator.
Okay.
Okay. Here we come to their qualifications again. No person shall be a senator who shall not have attained to the age of 30 years and been 9 years a citizen of the United States, and who shall not, when elected, be an inhabitant of the state for which he shall be chosen.
Huh.
Now that's real funny, because when Hillary Clinton was elected a New York senator, she didn't live in New York.
Huh.
So that was rather unconstitutional, wasn't it?
No. Yes.
Yeah.
That's really crooked. It's a sticky
probably,
situation.
I'm just going to take a wild guess here and say 70% of the stuff that's happened since this Constitution was written is unconstitutional.
Yes, most likely you are absolutely correct with this.
Yeah. Okay, moving on. The Vice President of the United States shall be President of the Senate, but shall not have a vote unless they are equally divided.
Okay.
Pretty straightforward.
Yes.
The Senate shall choose their other officers and also a President pro tem in the absence of the Vice President, or when he shall exercise the office of President of the United States. Okay. The Senate shall have the sole power to try all impeachments. So here's the other half of the impeachment thing. The House of Representatives brings up the charges. The Senate tries the president. Okay. When sitting for that purpose, they shall be on oath or affirmation. When the President of the United States is tried, the Chief Justice shall preside, and no person shall be convicted without the concurrence of 2/3 of the members present. See, this is why I'm not that worried about Donald Trump being impeached.
Right.
Right now, the Democrats hold the House of Representatives. They could certainly impeach him.
Okay.
But you'd have to get 2/3 of the Senate to vote to remove him from office.
Right.
And the Republicans, the President's Party, hold the Senate right now.
Okay.
So even if he is impeached, he's not going to be convicted.
Right.
Unless they got a bunch of Republicans who are going to flip and vote with the Democrats. I think that's very unlikely to happen.
Right. Right.
Okay, let's see. We're up to Section 4, Article 1, Section 4. The times, places, and manner of holding elections for senators and representatives shall be prescribed in each state by the legislature thereof. It simply means that the state legislatures are going to decide how their senators are going to be elected. But
Tim, did you read the last paragraph in Section 3? Just
Section
checking.
3. Yeah, that's the one about the Senate having sole power of impeachment.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. Okay.
Okay, so, this is one of my favorite paragraphs in the Constitution. The Congress shall assemble at least once every year, and such meeting shall be on the first Monday in December, unless they shall by law appoint a different day. They're going to get together at least one day per year.
Wow.
This is how much the founders, of the framers of the Constitution, this is how big a part of your life they anticipated the federal government to be.
And we're not seeing that today, are we, Tim?
We are not. We are not. The way this country was designed, in the course of you living your daily life, the federal government shouldn't even cross your mind.
Right.
You should be concerned with your own life, what you decide to do with it.
Right.
Your own business, your own family. And yet it's just become this overarching thing that is ever present in everybody's life. So you can see how far we've strayed.
Yes.
Yeah, so like I said, that's one of my favorite paragraphs in the Constitution. Okay, Article 1, Section 5. Each House shall be the judge of the elections, returns, and qualifications of its own members, and a majority of each shall constitute a quorum to do business. So you have to have a majority of the House or the Senate, at least a majority of them have to be there.
Right.
In order for that House to do business.
Okay.
And, there are lots of people who are absent during every session of Congress.
Right.
So,
okay.
But a smaller number may adjourn from day to day and may be authorized to compel the attendance of absent members in such manner and under such penalties as each House may provide. So
Okay.
if a minority of them show up, they can compel the attendance of absent members. Doesn't ever happen, I don't think.
Right. What could they do to compel them?
I don't know. It doesn't specify.
Maybe serve them with papers that order them to show up or something of that nature?
Like a subpoena or something like that?
Yeah, subpoena them. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I don't know. Like I said, they don't specify in the Constitution.
So that very
itself.
well could be one of the answers.
Yeah, it could.
Yes.
It could. Each House may determine the rules of its proceedings. And man, do they have a lot of rules.
Boy, oh boy.
And they can change them whenever they want.
Hmm.
And any rule that you can change whenever you want is not a rule.
Right.
Okay. Punish its members for disorderly behavior and, with the concurrence of 2/3, expel a member. So
Okay.
they can expel. Yeah, they can expel people for. I mean, like I said, very unlikely to happen. And considering some of the things we've seen them do and heard them say, I'm not going to hold my breath.
Right. They don't seem to be expelled.
Yeah. Okay. Each House shall keep a journal of its proceedings and from time to time publish the same, excepting such parts as may, in their judgment, require secrecy. So a lot of the military committees.
Right.
They do have stuff that, they publish it, we know it, our enemies know it. So there
Right.
is a legitimate reason for secrecy in some of the things the Congress does.
That brings me back to
Okay.
something that Donald Trump was talking about when he was being questioned by these panels when he was running for the presidency. They were asking him what he would do in the event of a war. How would he attack the enemy? He's like, are you kidding me? Do you think I'm going to tell you this?
Yeah.
Are you kidding? Because all the other people were saying, here's what I'd do. And they're announcing their plans right there on the spot. And so
Like
there's,
I said,
right.
to us and to our enemies. And we do have enemies.
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
Foreign and domestic.
Yes, yes.
We'll get to that later on, too.
Okay.
Might not get to it today. As a matter of fact, how are we running on time, Jackie?
Let's see. We probably started, we've got a little time left here, Tim. We've got a little time. Maybe we should head through Section 6.
Yeah, we still got a lot. We still got a lot of Article 1 left to do. So
Yes, we do.
So maybe we'll make it through Section 8.
Yeah, great.
Let's see what happens.
Okay.
Okay. And the yeas and nays of the members of either House on any question shall, at the desire of 1/5 of those present, be entered into the journal. So if 1/5 of the people present for a vote require it, then how each member voted shall be entered into the journal of that House.
Okay.
Neither House during this session of Congress shall, without the consent of the other, adjourn for more than 3 days nor to any other place than that in which the two houses shall be sitting. So that says that the House of Representatives can't decide to go someplace in another state or somewhere and meet by themselves.
Right.
They have to do their business at the Capitol building.
That's very good.
Yeah. Okay, Section 6. The senators and representatives shall receive a compensation for their services to be ascertained by law and paid out of the Treasury of the United States. They shall in all cases, except treason, felony, and breach of... Oh, this is an interesting part.
Okay.
They shall, in all cases, except treason, felony, and breach of the peace, be privileged from arrest during their attendance at the session of their respective houses, and in going to and returning from the same. And for any speech or debate in either house, they shall not be questioned in any other place. What does this mean? It means if I'm a senator, I can get stinking, falling over drunk, get in my car, plow it into a crowd of people, and they can't do anything to me.
That's pretty scary.
I can see the necessity for this because without this little clause here, if you didn't like how you thought a senator was going to vote, just catch him and get arrested. And you've taken his vote out of the equation.
Right.
So this is truly a double-edged sword. I can see where it's necessary for the functioning of the government, and yet it sets them above us.
Yes, it does.
It gives them privileges that the rest of us don't have, which is a slippery slope, and a dangerous one at that.
Especially if they're all in cahoots with each other.
Yep.
And don't hold each other accountable, which is what they're supposed to do.
Exactly. No senator or representative shall, during the time for which he was elected, be appointed to any civil office under the authority of the United States, which shall have been created, or the emoluments whereof shall have been increased during such time. This simply means that you cannot hold two offices at once. If you're a senator, you're a senator.
Right.
They can't give you another job on top of that. Okay. During such time, and no person holding any office under the United States shall be a member of either house during his continuance in office. Shall be a member of either house. Oh, okay. So a person holding any office under the United States. So that means that the Secretary of State cannot, basically saying the same thing. That the Secretary of State cannot also be a senator.
Okay. Right, so, exactly. Okay.
Kind of like separation of powers.
Right.
Okay, Section 7. All bills for raising revenue shall originate in the House of Representatives, but the Senate may propose or concur with amendments as on other bills. Okay. So if it's gonna raise taxes, the Senate doesn't have anything to do with that. If it's going to create new programs that'll cost money, Senate cannot originate those.
Right.
Anything having to do with money starts in the House of Representatives.
Okay.
For every bill which shall have passed the House of Representatives and the Senate shall, before it becomes a law, be presented to the President of the United States.
Right.
If he approve, he shall sign it, but if not, he shall return it with its objections to that House in which it shall have originated, who shall enter the objections at large into their journal and proceed to reconsider. So this is the veto. If the president agrees with the law, he signs it, becomes law. If he doesn't, he vetoes it.
Sounds like janitorial powers there.
Yeah, sends it back to the house in which it originated.
Right.
So they can rework it, see if they get it to his liking. If after such reconsideration 2/3 of that house shall agree to pass the bill, it shall be sent together with the objections to the other house. That's the 2/3.
Okay.
The 2/3 override of a veto.
Okay.
Which it shall likewise be reconsidered, and if approved by 2/3 of that house, it shall become a law.
Okay.
So you can see that the president cannot hold up laws forever. If it's a good law and 2/3 of the Congress vote for it, they can override his veto and it'll become a law.
Okay. Okay.
But in all such cases, the votes of both houses shall be determined by yeas or nays, and the names of the persons voting for and against the bill shall be entered on the journal of each house respectively. Oh, excuse me.
Quite all right.
Each house
Bless you.
respectively. If any bill shall not be returned by the President 10 days, Sundays excepted, after it shall have been presented to him, that same shall be a law. This is the pocket veto.
Okay.
If the President doesn't like a bill, he can send it back, or he can just colloquially put it into his pocket, leave it there for 10 days. So
Okay.
if he doesn't take any action on it, he's basically just saying, I don't like that law.
Right.
I'm not going to stop you from passing it, but it'll be over my objections.
Right. Right.
See, like I said, when I was a kid, we learned this stuff on Saturday morning.
Right.
Schoolhouse Rock, remember that?
Yes, I do.
I'm just a bill. Yes, I'm only a bill. And I'm sitting here on Capitol Hill.
That's right.
Okay. Yeah. In like manner as... Okay, so if he doesn't sign it 10 days, it shall be a law in like manner as if he had signed it, unless the Congress, by their adjournment, prevent its return.
Oh my. Okay.
In which case it shall not be a law. So,
Okay.
let's say that the President wants to send a bill back to Congress, but they're in adjournment. Okay?
Right. Okay.
So in that case, the pocket veto does not work and it does not become a law.
Okay.
Every order, resolution, or vote to which the concurrence of the Senate and the House of Representatives may be necessary, except on a question of adjournment, shall be presented to the President of the United States, and before the same shall take effect, shall be approved by him, or being disapproved by him, shall be repassed by 2/3 of the Senate and the House of Representatives, according to the rules and limitations prescribed in the case of a bill. So that's just basically just a recap of what that section says.
Okay. Okay.
Okay. Now we're at Section 8. Another
Yes,
one of my favorite sections of the Constitution. So, Section 8. The Congress shall have power to lay and collect taxes, duties, and imposts, and excises to pay the debts and provide for the common defense and general welfare of the United States.
Hey Tim, I'm hearing a sound. Heard some scraping, and now I'm hearing a strange sound, but I'm not sure what it is. Maybe it's. Did you move your mic or something, or?
Well, I'm speaking more directly into the mic. I was kind of talking over the top of it a little bit there.
Huh.
But other than that, I haven't changed anything yet.
Oh, okay. It's sounding really strange. Okay.
Okay. Well, I'll tell you what, Jackie. You want to get through Section 8 today? It's really good stuff. Or do we want to save that for our next show?
Ooh, maybe we can open up with Section 8. Are you thinking?
Yeah.
You know what? That's absolutely not a bad idea, Tim.
Like I said, Section 8 is good stuff.
Yeah. Well, why don't we go ahead and end the show, and I'll let you say a nice little outro. And
okay. Well, folks, that is it for today's edition of Dangerous Subversive Radio. I hope you'll come back for the next one. I hope you bring some friends. I hope you grow to be 100 million strong. But right now, I hope you have a good night.
Good night, everybody.
Good night.